Hey everyone!
Sorry. Foxy, I know.
Hey everyone! Welcome to the Queerie!
Oh my god, so we're back for episode 4, I think.
Yes,
4 now.
that's crazy.
Which is, I know, insane. And we have very special guest, Freya Armani.
Thank you!
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
So
It's
exciting.
beautiful, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very disco vibes.
Yes. So
Yes,
but we're
I
going to start out the questions with like the question we ask all the time.
Cool.
So what are your pronouns and what names do you go by and when?
So out of drag, I probably just go by he, him, and Adam. That's my boy name. And then in drag, she, her, and Freya's fine. Yeah, you can call me Freya now. I don't mind. I'm not really too fussed about it.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you did drag?
Oh my gosh.
Straight into it.
Yeah. Wait, no. Okay, first time I did drag, like performing or like got in drag or...
I mean, whichever.
The first time I ever like put on a whole thing and like tried it out was the end of 2019. So
Okay.
right before COVID?
Yeah.
Right before COVID hit. Yeah.
Wow.
I did like a horrible makeup look. I got like a blonde wig, a little shake and go. I shook it and I put it on. I have the
feel like
photo. I'll
that's
show
a
you guys
trend.
later. Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
horrible.
I feel like that's a trend of like getting into drag. It's just like the
Yeah.
shittiest stuff you could find.
Yes, it's like honestly like borrowing like your sister's like little dress and like
Yes.
putting on a flat wig and being like, yeah, puss, let's go. But yeah, end of 2019, I guess you could say was the
Yeah.
first time.
Was there something that like prompted it, or you just were like, I need to get in the gig?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I honestly was, when I was younger, I really was that gay who was like, I'm not that gay. Like,
Yeah.
I would never wear makeup. And
Uh-huh.
here I am wearing heels and a wig. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was kind of just like, well, drag kind of combined all the things that I really loved,
Right.
like fashion and makeup and dance and acting and art. So I kind of was like, well, I'm just going to give it a go. I'm just going to try. And then I tried it. And yeah, it's just still doing it.
So did you do a lot of that sort of like theatre stuff like when you were in school and everything as well?
Honestly,
'Cause-
no, not in school, but I do have an acting degree.
Oh, cool. So do I.
went to
Well, not a degree, diploma,
Okay.
but
I
close
went to
enough.
QT.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I honestly did not think I was going to be like using that degree much because I was like, I had like the little acting gigs and I had all like the like musical theater and like the stage gigs that I would do. But I just, I wasn't really sure how I was going to use that degree.
It's a hard industry to get into.
Yeah, and
even
because
with the degree.
and when you're like, oh, I love acting and I love, I'm passionate about film and TV, but I'm not too sure if that's, where I want to
Yeah,
go and
for
stuff like
sure.
that.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's how it is with an arts degree. Like
Mm.
my degree is so like I'm studying entertainment, which is so broad, and I'm like I was saying to my friend just earlier today, she's studying teaching, so she does her 4 years to study teaching and then becomes a teacher, whereas
Yeah.
I do my 4 years to study entertainment and then I leave,
And then they're like,
and I'm
go.
Oh, it's so
I have like every avenue possibly that I could go down, but also none because I don't have the experience
Yes.
or know the people.
well because it's
It's
so
like-
competitive. You know,
yeah, it's so hard.
you know
where
they
you're
don't
just
need
like-
as many entertainers
And
as
you
they
have
do
to do
teachers.
so much networking to be able to like
Yeah.
actually get
and
opportunities.
like so much free work where you're like expected to build
my
It's all
goodness.
experience.
Like,
The amount of
Oh.
like free work you do, especially for drag as well. Like before, I mean, I don't know if it's different now, but when I started 2 years ago, which still feels really recent, but drag queens who are starting now, it feels like they're starting off in a different way. When I started, it was like you kind of have to do like a bunch of like free gigs to really, get seen and
Yeah.
get
Get your name out.
Get your name out, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, I see a lot of like the baby queens. Some of them do still have to do that, but a lot of them, thankfully, they get like kind of good
Yeah.
opportunities if they network in the right way.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on to drag and how you got into it.
Yes.
How did you choose your name?
Oh my gosh. So I chose Freya because I've always found the name really beautiful.
That's a
And
pretty name.
it was a name that I found was Norse mythology. Oh my gosh, try saying that 3 times fast. Norse mythology. Yeah, she's Freya's like the goddess of, I think it's like of war and strength and love and beauty or something. I'm not Norse, but it's just
I like it.
Yeah, it's just a really beautiful name. I know it's like used across like a bunch of different cultures and stuff like that, but that was like the the strength and beauty and like female empowerment and stuff like
that's
that.
cool.
I really resonated with that because I grew up with 4 women in my life, so I've always kind of had that feminine energy around me. And then Armani is actually a play on my little sister's name. Because when I first started drag, she would pack my little suitcase for me and like help me get to gigs. And
That's so
and
wholesome.
yeah, I'd be like, can you like hold this while I try and like hand sew this hole
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah, so she used to help me when I was first starting. And Armani is just a brand that my family has always really loved. So Freya Armani, yeah, it just
Makes sense.
kind of came
it?
together. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just-
that seems
I
like an
love that.
easy.
Which is random because like I think when someone's like, oh my god, think of a drag name, you go like,
Yeah.
oh I
You're like,
don't
"Oh,
know.
I've got it."
Yeah.
But like yeah, for some reason I was just like, those names make sense.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I love it. Love
I
it.
love hearing.
Thank
That's
you.
like one of my fave stories that we ask each person, because it's like
The name.
been so different for everyone, where like, you know, it's been like a trial and error where they've had like a different name first and they're like no, and they've workshopped to get to where it is. It's just like so interesting to hear
Yeah.
how each person's like adapted.
Finds it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
And you don't think? I think people probably outside, like watching drag, probably think, "Oh, they just made up that name because it sounds cute."
Yeah,
but there's
or some,
always a
or
story.
yeah, or like there's like lots of queens who like I'll have like play on names and stuff like that, which I thought of as well. Like
Yeah.
I thought, you know, like, well, that's what drag queens do. But then obviously when I learned and I was like, no, I want to
Yeah,
go down
actually,
more
yeah, do
like
whatever you
a
want.
different route. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, do whatever you want. Make your own path, make your own journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So you're very independent in your approach to preparing for drag performances. How did you learn all of that, like mixing your music and your outfits and your style and all of that?
Well, I do perform a lot with my drag sister Kim. So if we do like a group show or like a little duo together, we always kind of like sit down and flesh out the idea and the narrative. And we like draw some designs and stuff like that. But yeah, when I am doing it solo, it's very similar. I come up with a concept. I find like songs that are relevant to that concept, and I kind of build the performance around that kind of narrative. Unless it's like a fun spot number and you're just like trying like
Yeah,
there
do
to have a
whatever.
good time
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know make the crowd feel good. That's different. But yeah, for most of my performances, I do like storylines. I do like it to
Yeah.
have like a beginning, middle, and end. Just because it makes it more entertaining. I guess
Yeah.
that might come from my theater background. But yeah, I just find it more entertaining when I'm watching that. So I kind of want to emulate what I find entertaining.
Yeah.
In my shows. So yeah, I kind of flesh that out. I do design my looks as well. And it's kind of just comes from like referencing and sometimes I'm a terrible drawer, but sometimes you just sketch up some things and you're
Yeah.
like, yes, a spike there. Yes. Yeah, pointed shoulder. That would be good. Lovely. Yes. And yeah, it's a lot of just like kind of playing. For me, at least, my creative process is a lot of just like playing with ideas and playing with concepts,
Seeing
and
what works.
seeing what doesn't. I'm never someone who's like, well, no, I wanted it this way. It's like, oh my god, it's not working. I'm so much more malleable, I guess,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
my drag.
That's a good way
It's-
of doing it.
So yeah, I just find it so easy to just kind of go with what's happening, and like if I can't get this or I can't get that done or this isn't realistic, I kind of just am a person who's like easily can be like, okay, that's not working. Let's
Yeah,
move on.
move
Let's
on,
change
yeah.
it. Let's make it more like streamlined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you style your own looks and your makeup and everything as well.
Yeah, so for any looks that need to be made, I design them. I get them made by the Hummingbird usually. Lovely little place. If you don't know who they are, check them out.
No, we know.
Yes,
They get
y'all
plugged-
know,
they
y'all
get
know.
plugged
Yes.
like every
They get
episode.
plugged yes, they would.
Sponsor
yeah,
us, the Hummingbird.
They're amazing. That team is just very very close with them. They're lovely people, and they do an amazing job. But yeah, and a lot of the time, you don't always need to have a costume made up. Sometimes having that styling skill is enough as well, because it just means you can
Pull from what you've got.
Pull from what you got. You
Yeah.
can go shopping. Because a lot of drag is a lot of like you can't really buy a lot off the rack.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, you could, but like it just won't translate the same way in the same language of drag. Sometimes
I feel like drag, maybe like early seasons Drag Race, which is like 2010s, I think, was very off the rack. Everything was
Yeah.
like very store-bought little cute dress, and it has evolved into this like elaborate costume style now, where everything's like you can't find anything off the rack. It's all,
it's all
you know,
original. It's all
yes,
custom.
yes.
But I kind of like that. Like that's
No,
the
I
kind of
like it
vibe
too,
I
yeah.
enjoy. Obviously, like money comes and goes, but money is a thing. It exists.
Yeah.
So it does kind of limit you sometimes.
Yeah.
And in terms of like
Custom
realistically,
pieces
realistically
things.
making things.
Yeah.
But like if you can, and like there's a way you can do it, it's definitely worth it, because then people start to see that like you're creating things that are coming from you instead of just buying things. So you can kind of show more of like your personality, more of like the vibe and the aesthetic you're going for.
Yeah.
So in that same sort of way with your makeup, because obviously drag makeup is like a whole nother entity.
Yes.
How does that kind of like affect your confidence going into drag, and like how you put on this persona?
Yeah,
you do your
the
makeup
is like, the makeup does it for me. Like
Yeah.
the makeup, like as soon as I'm done the makeup, like as soon as
would.
the lashes go on and the lip is done, I don't even need the wig on. I'm just like,
I'm in
oh.
it. You're
I
in it.
am
Yes,
Freya.
Freya's here. The bitch is here. Yeah. No, yeah, I absolutely love makeup. I definitely like kind of got into it in a not like a traditional way, I guess, because everyone else kind of learns makeup first. And I kind of was, like I said, when I was younger, I was like, I'm not that gay. I would never wear makeup. So I kind of slowly got into it. I taught myself glam makeup first by just watching like tutorials and, you know, all that fun stuff you do when you're learning makeup, and then just practicing. And I'll show you later some really awful photos and videos that are just like,
Yes.
I can't believe that was you, because now my makeup
I'm
is so
so
different.
excited for all of these
Oh my
clips.
God. Yeah, it's awful.
Hi everyone and welcome to Queerie News. I'm your host Ella Steele and I come to you tonight with some breaking news. Brisbane-based drag queen Freya Armani has been caught spreading misinformation on local hit podcast The Queerie. Miss Armani was caught saying her previous makeup looks were, quote, awful. However, further investigation by our very own Queerie research team has found that Miss Armani's statements were false and misleading. We'd like to cross now to Ella in the research lab. Ella, what can you tell me?
Hi Ella, yes, here I am in the research lab, so we're conducting further investigations into Miss Armani's claims. Over here we have some research done by our very own Queerie research team into Mrs. Armani's first makeup looks. As you can see here, this was posted 1st of October 2020, which would make this pretty early on in Miss Armani's career, and yet she claims some of her earliest looks were, quote, awful. This misinformation that Miss Armani is spreading has to be stopped. Now back to you in the studio, Ella.
Thank you, Ella. Wow, some shocking stuff there. We will now return to your previously scheduled entertainment.
But yeah, it was just, honestly, it was a really fun journey, because when I started doing makeup, I didn't do it with the intent of starting drag. So I kind of like learned all like the glam stuff, and I used to watch all those videos. And then I watched drag tutorials, and then I got into drag makeup, and it took a while to differentiate the two. Yeah, because they are so different.
They are. Yeah, I feel like highlighting and shading and like the blocking the brows and all of that changes the shape of your face in a different way than just like normal everyday makeup.
Yeah. Well, like I mean, the whole like I guess like first step of drag is like reshaping your whole face.
Exactly.
And at least for my makeup, it's bringing it up and kind of bringing everything more
It's like
feminine.
plastic surgery.
Yeah, it's a plastic surgery with makeup. Yeah.
Really.
So that's the kind of makeup I like to do at the moment, at least.
Yeah.
I like everything to be kind of like pulled. And
Has it changed quite a bit as you've gone on? Like what you like to do? Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could just be like show you and just be like,
Well,
look, see
we'll
this
put
one.
we'll put them up
But
for everyone to see.
oh my gosh.
No.
No. Yeah, it was like awful, and then and then like, oh, okay, and then like, oh, okay, that's passable, and then since then, even now, my makeup, like the way it is now, is completely different to the way it was even a month ago.
Yeah,
I was looking at a photo of me in drag like a few days ago compared to like last month. So different.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. It's before, my stages of makeup were so like, you could just tell it was like, okay, she's learned how to do brows, she's learned how to contour, she's learned how to do like, you know, a really good cut crease. And then now I'm kind of more open to like experimenting and more open to like just like trying new things and not always having just like the traditional like Freya makeup on.
Yeah. I guess if you have the skills now to do all the things, you can just start.
Yeah, but it also just keeps
up.
it interesting as well,
Yeah,
especially because
absolutely.
makeup was one of the big reasons of why I got into drag, because I fell in love with makeup, and then I was like, oh, I can do that with drag. That being such a like big love I have, I like to switch it up, and I like that I can change my face. And I think recently I've also been like, oh, like now that I actually have kind of been doing, you know, the Freya face or the Freya mug for, you know, so long, I can afford to switch it up now and try
like,
different things.
As your skills grow,
That as well.
Like your face changes. Like you learn how to do things better and then it changes the way
Yeah.
it comes out.
And also just like going to more gigs and seeing everyone else's makeup. I'm such a makeup person. I look at everyone's makeup and I'm just like, interesting. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting the way everyone does makeup like in such a different way. But like when you think about it, like when someone asks you about drag makeup, it's just like, oh, drag makeup as like a general thing.
Yeah.
But each drag
So
queen or drag
individual.
performer is so individual. Yeah, I love that.
So you said that you grew up with 4 women in your life. Yeah. So what was the reaction from, you know, them and other people around you when you sort of came out and were like, I'm going to do drag, like this is what's happening?
My mom loved it. My little sister likes it.
Yeah.
Cool. That is it. No, I'm kidding. My friends are supportive and my chosen family is supportive.
Yeah.
Some of my family are supportive. I think for certain people it's hard for them where you grow up and all that stuff. Sometimes it's people just don't understand it, and as much as like you try and try to get them to understand, it doesn't always come across. I think I've realized recently that if like there is a family member or a friend or even someone I was close to that doesn't understand the drag, it's actually I don't actually have to convince them. I don't have to teach them anything about that. If they are like no, then you know what I mean? It's not my place, and I don't really care enough to be like, no, please, like drag, please like it. You know what I mean? It's not for you. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah,
so.
you're doing you. That's what matters.
For sure.
We've had a lot of those conversations, like through this, like about just like coming out or drag specifically, and it's just like eventually you just have to do you. Like,
I think, and then a lot of people kind of resonate with the fact that like, as much as like we've all had, you know, sometimes a stressful or like a not as positive coming out, whether it's like being gay or being a drag queen, because sometimes drag queens do feel like they have to come out like a second time, because it's like, I'm not only gay but I also just like a woman. I also talk. Sorry, Dad.
No, I get that. I grew up in a religious family.
Yes, same.
And so a lot, like I have never formally come out to my parents. I think they're aware of it.
Yeah.
They would be silly to, like, they'd be naive to
not know about it. Yeah.
But also I feel like I don't need to come out. Like that's not my responsibility. My sisters are straight and they didn't come out, so why should I have to do that?
Period.
And it took me a long time to get to that point of just like, I'm just going to do me now. Like this podcast, like I'm really open about it all, and it's there for them to listen to, and all the rest of my family to listen to if they want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey guys, if you're listening. Hi. But I also like just don't really care enough to be bothered if they care.
Yeah.
Do you know, like
you know what? I'm in the same spot, because I also have never like officially come out. Like people in high school just assumed it. Yeah. Afterwards, people assumed it. I've never like made a post. I've never had like a big, hi everyone, I'm gay. I've never felt the need to. Like, I've had a conversation with my mom about it and with my dad about it and like my family about it, like privately, but like all of that was like I've never felt the need, so I completely see what you mean, and I've just do me. Yeah,
like you just get to a place where you're like, I actually don't care.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do.
I know what I know. Yeah,
and like I don't define myself as anything. I use queer because it just feels right, like umbrella terms, and like I don't care to ever figure out lesbian, bisexual, pants. I don't care. Like queer works, and like I'm good. I just will. Such
a that takes so long to get to that place of being like, you know what, I am queer and I'm okay with it. Yeah. And I actually don't have an issue with the word queer as well. Yeah. Growing up, I could not stand that word. I actually couldn't even say the word gay out loud. Like I used to start crying. Yeah. It was so stressful growing up, and I'm sure you understand.
Of your upbringing and
it was just a really religious household. Like, it was so really taboo. It was really like a time in my life where I felt like I had to like hide absolutely everything about myself. Yep. And I think I haven't even come to terms to that until like now into my adulthood, because I'm only kind of realizing now that like there are things that I can and can't do, things that like I don't need to do, things that I just have become more comfortable with myself. That I have like realized, oh my God, I didn't even need that validation from anyone else to get here. Like that is so annoying that I spent so many years like feeling this type of way about it. When now I'm just like, damn, I wish I could just go back and be like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's so
just
fine.
relax.
Just like,
you're fine. Yeah.
And you know what's great? Like now, like not saying this podcast or anything, but just overall in like society, I think it's becoming slowly more like that sort of thing where you don't have to come out. You can just like be your own person.
Yeah.
Kind of like, which, you know, you hope it keeps going like that.
I hope it keeps going like that. That it makes me
More
so
awareness.
uncomfortable. Yeah, like when people
Yeah, I have noticed more recently, and I don't know if this is a case of like me just being more comfortable with my identity or the world. I don't know. But when I tell people, I don't feel the need to be like, oh yeah, and by the way, I like women as well. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, like I went on a date with this girl and like blah blah blah, and people mostly are just like, yeah, cool, whatever. And
but there's that one person who gives you a reaction, and
Yeah.
you're like, and they're like, I had no idea,
Yeah.
and you're like,
yeah, you're like,
Thanks.
well, I just told you, get over it.
Enough.
yeah,
Move on.
exactly. Yeah, like it's not anything. Like it just is. It just is. Like
It's kind of like pronouns when someone like makes a mistake and you're just like, just fix it and move on.
Yeah.
Like don't dwell on it and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Like here's my excuse. Fix it and move on.
Yeah.
Don't talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Don't make a big
correct
deal.
yourself and
Yeah.
get sorry about it. Yeah. Exactly.
You learned, you
Yeah.
corrected yourself, move on.
So speaking about, coming out and the issues around that and the drag scene, what is it like for you being a person of colour in a largely whitewashed industry? And have you faced much adversity with that?
Yes. Yeah. When I started drag, it was a lot more, I think, apparent than it is now, because I've been doing it for nearly 2 years. But I think when I first started drag, it was a lot more evident that getting a gig would be a little bit harder for me personally. I'm just going to speak from my experience. Was going to be a little bit harder, or I would have to do, quite a few free gigs before I would get, a paid one. Because of that fact, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was kind of something that when I started drag going into it, I didn't really think of. Well, it wasn't until I started regularly trying to actually get gigs that I noticed, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that it would be more difficult for me.
Right.
A lot of the venues that I used to perform at or have performed at, or just venues in general in Brisbane, I would say some are definitely guilty of tokenizing POC drag queens, or drag artists, I should say. There are a lot of events that think it's completely normal and okay to like cast a full production or cast a show and then be like, oh my god, wait, okay, cool, I need someone else there who doesn't, looks white. And they kind of bring someone else in, or
A diversity card.
exactly, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It was just really obvious, I think, to me, at that stage when I was starting, that it came across, I'll say, it came across as tokenism, is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came across as tokenism only because there were so many events I was doing where that was the case, and that, I was the only POC person there, or I was the only person there who came from a different place. That definitely, I think, a lot of the white guilt comes into play there with these event organizers, because they feel the need to include us, which in and of itself should be a positive thing, but it comes across as tokenism when you have a lineup of queens or a lineup of artists who are all white. Mm-hmm. And there is, the one token POC person. And I think when that started happening to me, it made me feel not nice. It didn't make me feel great. It made me feel like I sometimes was only being booked because of my skin color, which was the opposite of what I was experiencing at the start, which was so it does get confusing as well.
Yeah, it's such a hard balance of, is this that I'm lucky that I'm getting these things?
Yeah.
But it's not good because I want to be getting them because of your skill.
And it's like something that like you don't want to be thinking of. Like as an artist, you don't want to be the person who's like, I've seen the poster. Am I the token? Oh, okay, I see now.
Yeah.
It makes it a bit awkward, and it's not something you can just say to that event organizer as well. You can't, because then I will come across as like the angry POC who's like, well, why aren't there other POCs here as well?
Yeah.
And you're almost like, kind of, I want to say like gaslighting yourself into being like, I'm actually not getting hired for my talent. It's because of the color of my skin or whatever else. Yeah. When actually, no, it should be about your talent and nothing else. Like,
and I think the great thing is that I've learned, and I think this does come from being like part of the House of Thick. One of the prominent drag houses in Brisbane is that because I have that support system, I've learned that if I feel like I am being tokenized, I can actually just say no. And if I feel like I'm being put in that place where I'm being used in that way, I actually have the agency to say, like, actually, I'm going to say no to this gig. Thanks for asking. But, I need to make sure that my drag is coming across in my drag, or even just like doing it, period, like doing my drag at whatever event it is or whatever it is. It's being done for the right reason, if that makes sense. And I'm comfortable with knowing whether I am being used as a token or I'm not being used as a token, if that makes sense.
That's great that you have that. So what is it, House of Thick?
So the House of Thick is a prominent drag house in Brisbane, which just means that we're kind of like a little family. And we have like a drag mother, a father.
Kind of like a union almost. So like your rights and stuff.
Yes.
Like you can,
oh my gosh, I wish. We need drag rights.
Yeah.
We need a drag union.
Honestly.
Look, the Greens have new seats in Brisbane.
Greens took over. We can get it going.
I'm hoping that means, I don't know how they're correlated, but I'm hoping that means drag union is coming.
Yes.
Well, because it's less of a union, more of a family.
Yeah.
So it's more just like for like emotional support. Yeah. And like also just having that support to go to in times of like, because when I first started drag, I didn't know that I was sometimes being used as a token, on the poster. I didn't know that I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so having that drag family, which, sorry, by the way, I should have said, the House of Thick is like an all POC drag house. Cool. So everyone's a person of color. And we all come from different backgrounds and like skills, and everyone is such, even though we're a family, everyone kind of has like their own style of makeup, style of clothes and stuff like that, so everyone's individual, which is really cool as well. But we get to like come together, and I get to ask, my drag mother Luna Thick is someone that I can confide in, someone I can say, hey girl, like, do you think this is sus that there's like 6 queens at the show and I'm the only person who's you know what I mean. And I think sometimes audience members, event organizers, I think everyone sometimes doesn't always think about that as well when it comes to even just like, again, like having the drag queens on the posters or having us on the lineup, is that we do notice that, like we see that. So whether it's like being seen from like an outside perspective isn't really like, I don't want to say not important, but it isn't as necessary, I guess.
Yeah.
But it should be. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did any of that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, it really did.
It did. For sure. So what would you like to see change in Brisbane drag then, to make it more, I guess, welcoming to like other queens, other minorities or whatnot?
I would love to just see more... Period. No, I'm kidding. Yes. No, but like more events that are accessible, more shows that are inclusive, in Brisbane right now, there's lots of production value shows that are happening where you can buy tickets to go and stuff like that. For example, cute little plug, Rhythmology in June 2022. It's an all POC cast. It's like an urban dance showcase. There are, trans femme queens. There are drag queens. And it's this. And
where is it playing?
We are Metro Arts.
Cool.
The new Metro Arts in West End is where we're showing.
Awesome.
The ticket link is if you just look up Rhythmology on Instagram or Facebook.
Look it up.
Or you can go to my Instagram, Freya Armani. It's in mine. But yeah, it's like a really cool. It's a different kind of show for Brisbane, I think, because I think a lot of when people think of Brisbane drag, they think of nightclubs. They think of even drag brunch. They think of a bar. I think it's really cool now that a lot of us are dipping our toes into more production value things, more theatrical things. There's lots of cool places now where you can go where you can actually see, theater level shows and like productions that a lot of states outside of Brisbane don't really dip their toes in.
How did that come about? Was that through House of Thick or
so
production company?
So Tyson is one of the founders of the House of Thick, and I'm fairly certain he's the organizer and manager of all the stuff we do for Rhythmology.
Cool.
And he's got an amazing network of people who, for like sound techs and lighting, and so he knows how to, really get the value out of the entertainment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Put on a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
so yeah, it's a whole House of Thick thing. You know, we're organizing it and we're dancing in it and we're also, you know what I mean.
So more things
So,
like
yeah.
that around Brisbane to really.
I would love that, yeah, and because I have that theater background as well, I would love to do like
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
I would love to write, and because I've directed my own theater shows before,
Awesome.
I've written my own as well. I would love to like write a show for Freya,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, a full like start to finish show.
I love
Maybe like
that.
I like get in drag during the show, like
Yeah.
the show part of the process is like me getting in drag. Maybe like in the show I get out of, I don't know. But yeah, I'd love
so
to
cool.
combine like, you know, my theater background
Yeah.
with drag.
Got to use a
someday.
degree for something.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
paid for it.
I know.
Yeah.
They're
That's
expensive.
literally what I want to do, but the other side of it, where like I don't want to do the drag part, but I want to be in the theater. I want to
Yeah.
like stage manage that.
There you go. You guys can work
So-
together.
I was gonna say, yeah, let's collab. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
I'll do your marketing.
Part 2. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The whole team. Y'all can film it. Yeah.
So
Oh,
good.
awesome.
We'll talk. Yeah.
Yes,
But
I
yeah,
love
I love that, and I love that it's coming up more in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Another little plug, the Switch Up, which
Yes.
Lulu's a part of
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
she
we
would
were
have
just
spoke
talking
about that.
about that.
Great, you know, comedy drag
So
combination show.
fun.
Love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So many cool things going on.
Yeah.
Yes. there
And
actually
more
is.
would be great.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what I think. I said it in one of the episodes. I'll say it again. I just feel like I, as a queer person, know all these things. Like I know all of this is happening. And I just want to like shake people by the shoulders and be like, you don't even know how many good things are out
Like,
there.
why aren't you
Like,
coming to
why-
this? Yeah.
Why aren't you going?
Yeah.
Go and look at all of the crazy things that happen. Like the Switch Up, such a fun
It's
show.
so fun, yeah.
Such a fun show.
And like, who wouldn't want to? Sorry to cut you off. Who wouldn't want to like just get drunk at a really cool like dimmed bar
Yes.
and like see drag queens be silly, comedians be hilarious, and then force them to swap and
Yes.
force the drag queens to be
It's
funny.
so good.
And I was barely funny. But it's fun, you know what I
No,
mean?
it
Like
is
watch
fun.
someone bomb on stage. Why not?
It's
Yeah,
it
that's
is
the
good.
best.
It's
It's
so
yeah,
fun.
right? And because they're drag queens, they're not gonna be like, oh my god, I'm oh
Yeah,
my
they're
god, I'm
just
bombing.
full
They're gonna be
out.
like, okay, I'm bombing. Oh well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
That's the best part. I love it. It's so.
Yeah.
When is that on till?
They do it monthly, yeah.
Yeah.
So they do
Cool.
it regularly every
Oh,
month,
so it's all-
as
and
far
it's
as
like
I'm aware.
they change the
JC
comedians.
Proco.
and
Awesome.
It's like a different lineup every month. Yeah, it's
Love
really
it.
fun.
We
It's
should
really
all
fun.
go. Okay, little extra question.
Ooh.
Would your
Bonus.
younger self bonus question? Would your younger self be surprised by where you are at this point in your life?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I've said this before. I don't think even when I started drag that I expected to like be buying space for it and to like, you know what I mean, have like a whole wig cupboard and stuff like that. It wasn't something that I thought I would be doing professionally or as a career or seriously at all. Honestly, the first time I was like, I'm just gonna see what I can do was when I did that shitty makeup and that flat wig, and I literally
I
have the
look
video.
so good.
I literally didn't even shave. I have this like hairy chest, and I'm in like my old apartment, and I'm just like dancing to some Todrick Hall song. Like, and that was what I thought. Yeah, I was like, drag is just gonna be fun for me. I'm just gonna, you know, I've been a dancer for 8 years. I've studied acting. I'm just gonna have fun with it.
Yeah.
And now it's something I take seriously. So it's that part alone is crazy because that was a few years ago. I didn't think that could happen.
Yeah.
As a kid, I didn't even think I was gonna be like able to be openly gay. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to move countries to be able to be openly gay. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. But yeah, now I'm like some random successful drag queen in Brisbane, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
It is.
It
It's
is.
so
Yeah.
good though.
So weird.
It is so nice to like even on just like mundane things. Like I always say to my best friend that I wish I could go back and take my year 8 self, like my like 12-year-old self, out to
gosh.
lunch and just be like, girl, you're gonna be so great, and you
Imagine.
don't even know. Like I just want to like give her a hug and be like, everything that you're stressed about right now is nothing, and like everything's gonna be amazing, and your life is gonna be so good, and you're gonna be so loved, and like just tell
Like just
her all of the
imagine
things.
how much you would have like appreciated hearing that.
Yes,
I think about it all the
exactly.
time. How much
Yeah.
if I could just have like one conversation with the young little Adam, it would
Yes.
just change so much.
Yes,
Really
exactly.
crazy.
It is
Exactly.
crazy. Oh,
It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice to
Do you
about.
think? Sorry, I actually don't. Are you?
Yeah.
Do you identify as like straight or?
straight.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever
I
think about that? And
like in
I
what
think.
way?
Do you ever think
I think
about,
it's
like,
a
if you-
spectrum though. I
Yeah.
haven't honestly really thought about it that much before. And also I didn't grow up in like at all a religious household. Like I was super open. Like
Yeah.
my parents are the most chill people ever. So I don't think I ever like thought to think about it. But I don't know. I think it's definitely like a spectrum. But I haven't really thought
Yeah.
about it.
I think as queer people, we spend so much time reflecting on our past and our childhoods because of how traumatic and fucked up it can be. Can I swear?
Yeah.
How fucked up it can be sometimes.
Swear as much as you want.
Because like it really affects us, and because we grow up from a young age being like, wait, I think I'm different. I think I'm queer. I think I'm gay, or I think I'm lesbian, whatever it might be. Because we have that like in our heads from a young age. Like when you grow up, you kind of you're like, wait, like if I could just go back and ease that mind a little bit, it would change so much.
Like the fact that you've never thought about it is so crazy.
Yeah. It's just so interesting to me.
Like,
yeah.
I've spent like every waking moment from such a young child. Like I remember my childhood bedroom when I was like under 10, watching like some movie and being like, oh my God, she's so pretty. I want to be her best friend. And obviously now that I am like an adult, I can recognize that as like, I had a crush on whoever was
I
on
do
TV.
wonder if like the reason I haven't thought about it as much is because like it's not like a big deal to me because I grew up in such an open household.
Yeah, of course.
Like I do think like I have a boyfriend now for like the last 5 years.
Well, fuck you. No,
shut up. Love him. But I do think like, you know, if I did meet a girl or something instead, like, I don't know, like maybe I would have gone down that path.
Yeah.
But it's just, I never really thought about it, I think, because of that. So it sucks that it's not open for everyone like that, that it has to be like a big thought thing.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what am I? And like that whole you know, you're watching these movies and thinking, oh, but I can't be. I'm not. It's just.
And when you think about it, it's so weird that like you're such a young, like malleable little kid and you're thinking about all these like things that really affect you and are so adult when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, queer kids really think about that from a young age because we have to go through that. Literally. And a lot of us have to go through it alone as well.
Yeah, which is like exactly what I didn't tell anyone. I just was like, this is something that we're going to deal with at a later date. Yeah. And I pushed it to the back of my mind. And obviously, like, it came up a few times, like, as I was growing up, where I was like, oh my God, like, that girl in school, like, I want to be her best friend because, like, oh my God. And then was like, oh, actually, no, that's called a girl crush. Girl. And then, it was, like, always something that I just was like, we'll deal with it later. Like, we're going to worry about that at a later date. You can't be that. So, like, we're just going to shove it over here and pretend that that never happened. And then it all kind of just, like, I started going to drag things. I like put myself into like a queer environment and was like, this is my people.
That's where you need the awareness to go.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I can be
in this. Like I'm not the only person that feels that way. And then I was
awesome.
like,
yeah, like with what you were saying before, like I like the whole going through it alone and like not knowing. Yeah. I didn't come out until I was like about 19 to my family because I didn't have that community and I didn't have like those people that I could talk to about it or like involve myself with until I was an adult.
Yes, same.
So it was so weird for me because I know all my friends are like, oh yeah, I came out at 13. Oh, I came out in high school. I came out at 16. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh shit, like mine was 2 years ago.
And also like it just wasn't safe for me to come out.
Exactly that. Yeah.
At home, like if I had done that, I would have been putting myself in an unsafe position.
Which is so.
And like.
And not a lot of people understand that either. A lot of people are like, well, like, why? Or like, why did it take you so long? And even queers as well still don't understand that.
Like, I don't know that my parents would have kicked me out, but they might have.
Yeah.
And the way that they felt, or particularly my dad felt about queer people was very strongly.
Yeah.
And I was not going to put myself in a position where I was the brunt of that.
Yes.
So it's just not worth it to me at that point to even talk about it.
Mine was very, very similar. Yeah. My dad had his views and there was no kind of nudging or swaying. Yeah. And that was what was really hard for me because obviously I was growing up hearing all these things.
Yes. And it's like internalized homophobia because you've been told it's wrong forever that you're like, I'm wrong.
Yes.
I shouldn't
And that's
be
probably
like
where the like, I'm not that gay came from at the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very that.
Fully.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's the childhood trauma.
It's a childhood trauma for me.
It's so crazy to me. I don't know.
Yeah, is it horrible hearing us like joke about it?
No,
like,
no.
Okay.
It's, I mean, look, like I guess a lot of people joke about trauma because it's like a way to deal with it. Yeah, but it's just so sad that like people have to grow up like that. I don't know. It's just. But I just think how different would it be if everyone didn't give a shit who everyone wants to fuck or be with. Like, why does it matter?
Living like I am waiting. I am the kind of person who is like itching for the day that like the young kids can just be themselves and they just grow up and they just become people and what like whoever they want to sleep with doesn't actually come up in conversation. And
we're the generation who will have those kids.
Yes,
exactly. Which is the good thing.
And so I really, because I mean, no, our generation there are definitely some idiots for
There's
sure
that
are just
a lot of
that have
That's true. See,
have like learned from their parents and they've learned it so intricately that they're so stubborn they're not going to change.
Yeah, it's
whether
so-
they're like our age or not.
Such a core belief to them that this is how things are.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me sometimes that even people our age can't get it.
Yeah, and it, like even like stuff with racism, like that is so to their core, their belief, because that is all they've ever known, which is not an excuse. Just be better. But
if that's
like,
what you've grown up with every single day of your life,
and same with
that's
like,
your normal.
being homophobic, you've grown up in a household where they've so strongly, you know, said this is how it is. But like you can be who you are to spite that or in spite of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So be better. Be better.
I mean,
Be better.
I
That's
literally
the
had
moral.
a customer today. Oh my gosh, yeah, it happened today. At the Two Brothers Cafe in Drapilli. Come see us. POC queer friendly owned cafe by a drag queen. Yeah, cool. My brother and
I'm
I own
going
the
there.
cafe. It's Two Brothers
ASAP.
Cafe in Indro. Come along if you like. Really good coffee.
Imagine being at 22 and and owning a cafe. That is so.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
it
love
was
that.
That's awesome.
crazy. Thank you so much. But I had a customer today who like even said something that was a bit racist, and then I kind of just looked at him like,
No.
I can't even say anything right now because you're spending money at my cafe.
Yeah.
And he literally just like paused and went, "Oh, sorry, that probably wasn't politically correct." And I was like,
That was just a
Sir.
thing to say.
yeah, I was like, and it's not something I can repeat either. It wasn't.
No.
Yeah, it was just like rude and very much, and it was about me. And I was like, what? And like me and my brother's cafe, it's very diverse. Like we have like all kinds of skin types. We have all kinds of learning abilities. We have all kinds of people from different countries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've always just been very inclusive. Obviously, our family is brown, so we don't really have any prejudice against hiring. Yeah,
For sure.
so it's always just been really diverse. And like another customer made a comment about how like a lot of the staff that we had working there were, you know, POC or you know, of a disability or of something else, or just a comment about like how a lot of my baristas were gay. And I'm pretty sure, oh my god, there was this one time I was walking past this customer, and there was this straight, I'm assuming they were straight because they were rude, but they were straight guys, and like one of them made a comment about how they were like, oh my god, 3 fags all working today. And I walked by and I fully stopped in my tracks and I was like, do I say something? And I'm in uniform. I just had given them like a coffee or something, and I was like,
Wish
I
I
really
threw
can't.
that on you.
Yeah, like what? You're trash.
Yeah.
Like the next coffee I bring out is just like
Spit in
suck
it.
a dick. Yeah, like the froth is just like fuck you.
Oh, it should have been.
But yeah, it was.
Free
I
coffee.
couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe. Yeah, I should have just been like, here's a free coffee on me.
Yeah, and it's
From your
just-
favorite fag.
I shat in
Yeah.
it.
Because I shut up. Yeah, but like I just even. Whoa, that was like a big like. My mind was like even like like nowadays you don't think about it, and like you were saying before, like the time is changing now. Like it's like everything is in such a transitional period, I feel like in society, that I don't really personally I don't really expect that of people anymore, and if they do say stuff like that, I really do expect them to say it under their breath. But it was just comments like that, like to my face, or like
jarring.
right when I just drop off a coffee and walk away.
wow.
It's so jarring is a great word for it, because I fully stopped and I was like, do I say something? Like can I say something? Because like in any other situation, I told you guys I'm like so bluntly honest. I will just say it how it is sometimes. And I really had to go to myself like, no, like you're at work, you're professional, you can't call out a customer for speaking about you and your stuff like that.
Like you can.
But also I wish I could. Like
Yeah.
it's like, but if I had said that, then you know I would have lost business. I would have, you know, that could have resulted in like a horrible review being left, and
which is like so insane.
because you know, if I did have stood up for myself or you know my other staff,
You can also be
that
putting everyone in danger.
Exactly.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
I fully relate to with what you're saying though. So my mum is white, but my dad isn't. So my entire like dad's side of the family are brown. And I'm obviously a white passing person. So people think that they can say those things to me. And I'm like, you don't
understand.
You don't get to do that. You don't know. Just because I look like a white person, they feel comfortable.
That is so interesting.
Making
I was just going to say
racist comments to me, and I'm like, I'm not one of you. First of all, second of all, I'm also not the one to make racist comments to, because I will call you out because of my family history, and not even because of my family history, because in general,
It's just fucked
it's
up.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just
We
don't do
just don't. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, you don't expect it to happen, and then someone says something like that to me, and I'm like, are you only saying that to me because I'm white and you think that I'm on your side? Because
Yes.
I'm not.
I was just going to say, do you think that's because they think that like you're
I
on their
think so.
side?
I
That
really
is so
think
messed
so.
up to me that they think like, oh, I'm in a safe space, so let me just talk some shit.
Yeah.
That's actually racist.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen as well in
crazy.
person.
It's crazy. And like my parents are South African, and I have found that a lot of white South Africans have been quite racist to me upon finding out where my dad's from, because I'll immediately ask, I'll go, oh, you're South African too, amazing, where are your family from? And I'll tell them. And my dad grew up in an area which was predominantly like people of color, and so as soon as they hear that, they're like, oh, right. And it's like an immediate like snub to whatever I've said.
You're not fully white.
And then, they don't want to talk to me about being South African anymore because I'm not a white.
You're not of their
I'm
South
not
African.
fully white South African. Yeah,
That's
it's
so
crazy.
That is...
It's tea.
It's not tea. It's piping hot, but it ain't tea. Just those little...
Microaggressions.
Yes, the microaggressions, and the fact that they think that it's okay because they're in a safe space or they're with someone that's like them makes me so... I get really riled up about it.
How many other people out there that look like me that are racist join in? Like, how many people?
Probably
like,
way too many.
Like, is that a thing? Like, where you can go to another person and they've found comfort in each other in saying these comments?
Yeah.
Is like so wild to me, because I'm like, how are you okay with that? How are you okay with being that person? It's disgusting. So this is a question that we ask everyone at the end. So what makes you most proud to be queer?
Oh, that's such a lovely question. What makes me most proud to be queer? I would say the community I have, the community that is around me. Obviously, like the broader community as well, but like we said before, like everyone everywhere can always improve. But yeah, my specific community, or at least the queer people I have around me, super, super grateful and super, super proud. I guess to have that. I think I'm proud that I have them, because like I said, when I was younger, I didn't think I would be able to accept it, let alone be surrounded by such amazing, queer, talented people. So yeah, I think I would say that. Does that answer the question?
No, it
Yeah.
does.
Okay.
Yeah, the community for sure. That's kind of what mine was as well, where it's just like unconditional love, which like I didn't get, and then I came into a group of people that were all queer and was like, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, this is my place with my people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about you? No, kidding. What's your most proudest moment about being queer? No, I'm kidding. You're like, I didn't know.
I think my most proud, like looking and like having this podcast and seeing, it would be the same thing. And that's what most people have said, the whole community aspect, because it's very clear to me, like having that, it's like anything, even like not just in like the queer community, but any community, I guess like POC as well, like anything, having that, like theatre, I don't know, like every sort of industry, having people that you can relate to is so important. So yeah,
especially
I think it's really cool
in the instance of being queer, where it's taboo in most cases, or in a lot of cases. So when you have a group of people that have the same experience or similar experience, it is so nice, like reassuring fully. That's exactly it.
You know, you're not alone.
Yes,
which is so important.
Yeah.
And you also, I feel like you also, or at least I have developed, you develop friends that kind of, like I said before, kind of like chosen family. Like sometimes you connect with those people and you're like, wow, like we really connect, we really understand each other. You know, is life perfect? Do we always agree? No, but at least you're someone who I can sit down, have a conversation with, and I can disagree without you getting upset, without me getting upset.
We respect each other no matter what.
I feel like the queer community, a lot of people have the ability to be able to accept other people's perspectives and other people's point of views, without being like, well, no, this is how I see it. What about me?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. No, I
That's
agree
awesome.
for sure.
Woo! Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to plug to the
Instagram.
Queerie
Oh my gosh.
listeners? We've had a few throughout.
Can
You managed to get some in there already.
We're going to speak directly to the audience.
Hello, queer listeners.
Queer listeners.
Not the straight.
Oh my gosh, queer, not the heteros. Good morning to all queers. Only. No. Sorry. Oh, plug. Sorry. Okay, cool. No, well, you can follow me on Instagram at AdamHab or Freya Armani if you want to follow the drag journey. If you're interested to have a look at a queer POC run business, it's twobrothers.cafe on Instagram. And yeah, definitely check out those production shows that I mentioned a little bit earlier if that's your vibe and you're into it.
Yeah. Rhythmology?
Rhythmology, yeah. If you're into like really amazing dancers. These people are so talented. And like I said, yeah, there's so much for everyone. There's like trans women, and there's hip hop, and there's contemporary. I'm there as well if you want to come see me. Yeah, I'll be there. And the rest of my drag family and sisters and my mother as well. So it's gonna be an amazing event. That's in June.
Yay! Oh my god!
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I'm glad.
Good time.
Okay, let's
All right,
do a clink.
Oh yes.
let's do a cheers.
Okay.
Cheers.